Tell me a little bit about your game plan going into this.
Yeah, Dougie?
He's got it.
Hey, Dougie? Got it?
Our game plan going into this, I think our presentation is going to speak for itself. I don't think there's much the other groups can do to really challenge our strategy. We've got the squad. We've got
the talent. We've got the skills. We've got the game plan. Yep. We just have to go out and execute.
Performance. This is all going to be based.
Are you worried about the threat of Basok?
I think we have pooled our risks properly. We have faced uncertainty, calculated that in, as well as our exchanges. I'm going in.
We've been training for the last 7 weeks, actually maybe 8 weeks, so we're ready. The threat of Basok, we're ready.
Minimal. Basok?
Unless I'm getting points,
taking
not
advantage.
Great, guys.
Right,
Good luck.
Loading it up.
Good luck.
Captain's log. Star date, March 2nd, 2005. We've had a very intense period of cerebral activity, and now the crew and myself are headed to the Popovich Gardens for some R&R. We're on our way to the mixer.
Captain, we've intercepted a Klingon managerial mandate referring to an intergalactic Federation of Specialty Chemical Producers. I'm setting a visual ID now.
Probably just a glitch in the matrix. We've got to make that mixer stay on target.
It's no malfunction.
Our VPN is up, and we are getting a good signal.
Our VPN is up. We're getting a good signal. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Patch that distress call through.
Control plan is ineffective. People have gone complacent and inefficient. The Frankfurt facility is really efficient. They have the state-of-the-art technology. 1,500 people to produce, and Frankfurt you can do it soon. Deciding to close the production of releases in Gay and to move everything to Frankfurt.
I think it's beyond our control. We've got to make that mixer before Pete gets there and the keg is tapped.
Distress signal. It seems to be in some form of primitive Earthling format, but I think I can convert it, Captain.
Let's try it.
Anyone, please, anyone, we'll try. You're our only hope. Our Gary, Indiana production will be eliminated unless you do something. Anything.
Oh, sounds Midwestern. Sounds urgent.
Captain, I've already gone ahead and analyzed the situation. The Gary plant is one of the Gary plant is one of 6 applicant plants, and it is currently the third in terms of volume behind the Frankfurt and Mexican plants. Now, the applicant management is looking to close the Gary plant because of increased competition recently, and they are looking to minimize the cost and increase the yields. Captain.
Holy bottlenecks, Spock. It's worse than I thought.
But wait, Captain, there's more. Now, the applicant management has illogically assumed a correlation between yield and expected yield. And this points to the Gary plant, which has a lower yield than the expected yield. In addition, they have a lower output per employee. This is the reasons why the applicant management is looking to close the Gary plant. Captain.
But what about packaging? Captain, we don't have the power.
Scotty's right, Captain. Psychotic, but right. Let's take a look at their process. Now, currently, this is how the packaging relates to the yield losses. There are increased batch sizes, and it's due to the production process. It's a primitive 4-step process which starts with a reaction, goes to the cleaning, then the drying, then the packaging. This process runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, when you change the packaging, they must shut down the facility for 1 day. And when they do this, they must clean the dryers and the reactions of active ingredients. And this is what contributes to the waste, Captain. And then, at this moment, it is logical to get advice from Uhura, who's looked at the production and distribution.
Well, currently, Applicant is operating at a cost of $83 million across all plants. If you take a look at their production distribution, it looks like they've distributed across all 6 plants in terms of capacity and demand, and not take advantage of the cost differentials that exist across each plant. So what I've done is use something called linear programming to see if I can find a lower cost form of operation for them. As you can see, in my analysis, I've taken into account expected inflation and exchange rate volatility to come out with a new cost of $80.5 million, which is significantly lower than the current cost. And the optimal production distribution we have them maximizing their utility in the Mexico, Venezuela, and Frankfurt plants, and while not producing anything in Japan and Canada, Captain.
McCoy, I need something from you, please, anything.
I'm playing McCoy, too. Thank you, Captain. Management's lack of understanding of technology, such as waste management and automation, has led to stagnation of investment and upgrades in both Gary and Venezuela. This contributes to the lower yields we're seeing. The notion of economies of scale driving yield is backwards thinking, if you will. The Japanese plant, for instance, is a low volume plant, yet has over 98% current yield. Yield is driven not only by longer batch runs, but also by automation and waste management recovery. Automation reduces the amount of QC3 product. That's correct. And waste recovery reduces intermediate losses and recycles active ingredients. Also, the machines in both Venezuela and Gary are older and thus contribute to the lower yield.
Spock, my friend, my Vulcan friend, these are all issues and problems, but I need solutions. I need... No.
Yes, Captain. I recommend that the applicant management implement in their Gary plant a true packaging system instead of the current 80 packages options that they have. The recommended package sizes are the 50 kilogram and the 1 kilogram package sizes, because they are standard throughout the entire galaxy except in Gary, Indiana. Now, by going to this 2-package system, the Gary plant will be able to reduce their package cost from approximately $13 to the rest of the packaging costs for the other 5 plants. Captain.
Lieutenant Uhura, what about this linear programming?
Well, Captain, what we want them to do is to implement linear programming and operate their production, distribute their production based on lower cost rather than just capacity and demand. And this immediate recommendation that we have for them is a little bit different than my preliminary analysis in that we want Japan to continue to operate, and thus I put in a constraint for them to produce 1 million pounds of product. The reason for this is because Japan has a state-of-the-art facility along with highly skilled, highly trained employees, and that knowledge capital that they build up will become a valuable resource to the Venezuela and Mexico plants should they decide to upgrade their facilities. Also, bear in mind that this production distribution is based on our estimations of what will happen, and for example, should Gary reduce its package offerings to 2, that will affect the cost distribution, and the optimal production distribution will change. But we do hope that we do want them to implement this linear programming model, Captain.
McCoy, technology, how do we implement it?
Damn it, Jim. You're just a doctor. That being said, I recommend we implement both automation and waste management recovery in these 4 plants. We should phase them in with the help of the Japanese and Frankfurt plants according to the volumes of each individual plant. In addition, labor output will be addressed through training, Captain.
Crew, I need a moment now to formulate my resolutions to this issue. I've got to do some serious thought analysis here. What's going on? What's going on?
We are under attack, Captain! It must be the Romulans!
I think it's a Klingon.
It's actually Joe Spadaro, and he wants answers now.
Captain, we need to beam our recommendations forthwith.
All right, so it sounds to me that the applicant system needs to send a mandate to the Gary, Indiana plant to reduce the packaging options from 80 down to 2. They need to rethink their centralized management and implement Lieutenant Uhura's linear programming model. We need to increasing the levels of automation and waste recovery systems. Send it up, Scotty, quick!
You can implement them at once. I'm so glad somebody here knows operation because
I need programming.
Turkey operation.
That was close. You didn't think I had it in me, did you?
No, Captain.
Any questions? Rich?
Well, one of the concerns in the case is that people have this argument, or, well, maybe it's a special case, but they're talking about allocation of cost, and I'm just wondering when you guys are doing linear programming, how do you guys actually, what cost do you actually allocate to each plant, and do you have any recommendation to change the cost allocation?
Well, the linear program was actually done based on we did several analyses, one based on current cost. We didn't change allocation because, I mean, the production has to be with each plant. So what we did was to analyze based on expected cost. There was no, I don't know if I'm answering this right, but we didn't switch costs around between each factory. We allocated production based on optimal cost, the lowest cost production costs each.
Doing great, Laura.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
It's in the report, I swear.
Don't you think taking the product sizes down from 80 to 2 is kind of drastic and might alienate some of your customers?
Yes, that's one thing that we considered with the stakeholder analysis, thanks to our fabulous computer here. Now, the way we roll this out is we communicate with all of our customers that we're going to do this. And the benefit for the customer is that it will reduce their holding costs too, because we're going to recommend that we'll work with each customer so that they order the right quantities in terms of the right packages. Instead of, let's say, ordering, if you need only 20 pounds of this material, 20 kilograms of this material, you don't want to order the 50 kilogram package, you want to order 20 to 1 kilogram. And this will reduce the holding costs for the customers, and therefore it's beneficial to them. Now, there is a chance that they may seek our competitors with this reduction in terms of package size and options.
Well, also considering that the Gary customers take up to 3 years to use the product, having them switch to a smaller product size, I don't think will foresee that.
Any other questions?